Good morning, New Eden. Today is November 12th, 2023, and this is the Federation Frontline Report. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout, and my co host here today is Night Flyer.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning into the show. Before we get started, I just want to send out all our thoughts and prayers to the people of Grindavik, Iceland, who had to evacuate due to numerous earthquakes and the fear of a volcano ripping through their town. Uh, again, best luck with those people. Had the opportunity to go there when I was in Iceland. It's just a gorgeous place. So, wishing them all the best and safety. So, that being said, we are going to dive into the new Havoc expansion. Havoc comes out at 11 UTC on the 14th, which is about 32 hours from now, give or take.
Yeah, so that's like right around the corner. It's interesting how it feels like this expansion just got really announced as to exactly what's going to be like the big thing on it, and they've released it almost immediately. Um, I don't even feel like I'm ready yet.
Yeah, I still
So
feel like there's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot of speculation of how things are going to go, or whether this is even going to be accepted, or how well it's going to play with the actual players within, EVE Online. But there's a lot of excitement wrapped around it, and we're gonna try to keep that hype going.
yeah, I'm super excited. I'm interested to see what. So this is like the first part of the expansion. There's also going to be later on the open beta that's going to be going on. Um, so let's just dive in though to what's going to be coming out here on the November 14th at 11 UTC. So this is going to be coming out right after downtime. I'm interested to see. Do you think they're going to be an extended downtime? I definitely think there's going to be somewhat extended downtime. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I don't think this is gonna be quicker than their 3 minute they're used to. There seems to be a lot here going on, a lot of graphics, the opening of the station, and all that. I think to it's gonna take some time for all that to adjust.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. So once this does finally come out, after the downtime subsides, we have players are going to be able to enlist in either the Angel Cartel or the Garista Pirates. So players can enlist with the Angel Cartel or Garista Pirates in any station which is owned by them. Angel Cartel stations can be found in Curse and Fountain regions, while the Garista stations can be found in the Venal region. So it sounds like you're going to have to go to, 0.0 in order to actually enlist in this.
Yeah, and not friendly areas either. And this is the second of the two hurdles you're gonna have to get into if you want to be a pirate. Because the first hurdle is whether or not you have the standings. A lot of players that have been here for 10 plus years, they're not going to have good standings with either one of these pirate factions. A lot of us shoot pirates on a regular basis, we have been for years. I mean, when first coming into the game, is how I made, my living shooting Charistas and Angels. I came from one part of space into the next.
so till the end of the year, I've heard that there's going to be a standings boost, like a really big boost from doing the epic arc, and this is going to last until the end of the year. And I've heard that it is like really repaired a lot of people's standings from like really bad, like -10s to like -5s, stuff like that, like
Yeah.
crazy reductions just by doing the epic arc once. Um, and like if you are in the lower digits of like your -5 or whatever, people have gotten positive or something like that for standings. I don't know, so I don't know the exact numbers on that at all. I'm just kind of going off of hearsay of stuff that I've heard.
Yeah,
um,
and I also heard that they kind of lifted the restriction of how many times you can do it, unlike the Sisters of or Bloodstained Stars thing with the
right,
you can
so
only do it once
normally it's
every 3 months or something
yep.
like that. They're saying you don't have to wait 3 months; you can do it again rather quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure on what the thing is. So, but there is easy ways of repairing your standings, and getting it over the -2 mark, I think. Um, but that is a pretty big hurdle, and it's something that people are going to have to work on in order to do. Um, I'm going to be making a brand new character that I'm going to be putting into the game, so I will have good standings with the angels, and so I'm going to be able to join up with the angels and see what we can do by just having an alpha account that does the pirate faction warfare stuff. How far can you go in pirate faction warfare with an alpha account, which probably isn't going to be that far. And then I'm going to have to turn that into my hauling character, and then also put my high skill point alt that I have that normally just does hauling for me but can do so much more. um, but we'll see. I'm kind of hoping that I can have just a fresh new character that can start up and jump in, and so the standing requirements are not going to be a problem for me, at least. But anybody that's trying to put their main character in this, that's going to be a problem. So especially for people who have, like you said, started the game by shooting pirates, like that's level 4 missions, right?
Yeah, and it's I'm gonna I've been battling back and forth around my thoughts as far as the standings and the pirate faction. I mean, you put this in a real world uh, construct. Let's say, I mean, this is kind of like the mafia. It's an organized crime organization, right? And everybody you're dealing with is a criminal. So I don't know if the loyalty points or not the loyalty points. That's the standing that you have. How much that's really going to how would that impact people? I mean, obviously, if you and I are criminals together, we're in our gang, we're in the mafia, whatever. You and I have to like each other, trust each other somewhat, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're both like criminal. And if I can get ahead by taking you out, well, maybe I will. So again,
So you
I
think it should
I
be
just don't
like not
know. I don't think
-10
standing should
maybe?
matter. Yeah, I don't think standing should matter at
At
all.
all, at all. Okay, so I can see that. I can definitely see that. But unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. The reality is that it is going to be a -2, and that's going to be a pretty big barrier. Um, so we'll see how many people just make new alts and how many people are bringing in their old characters. I do think you're going to get a lot of old characters. Hey Lucian, how's it going? Insani, how's it going? Um, so we're just kind of diving into the patch notes here. So the next major bulletin they have here is about the Capsuleers that are joining the Angel Cartel are going to be at war with the Amar and Mimitar, and the Keldari are going to be, the Garistas are going to be at war with the Keldari and the Galente. Capsuleers enlisted in the pirate militias can freely engage Capsuleers enlisted in the rival militias and vice versa. Capsuleers enlisted in the Angel Cartel can be attacked by the faction warfare Empire Police. So you're going to be kicked out of High Sec, but only in the High Sec. It's not a permanent. It's not like bringing you to suspect all the time level of -5 security status, but you just like faction warfare, you're kind of kicked out, and basically this will give you a big incentive not to join the Garistas and to join the Amar or
Yeah.
the Angels, because Garistas get kicked out of Jeddah, and the nice thing is that you can sit in Jeddah and fight with the two other enemy factions, the Amar and the Mimitar, in Jeddah without police, and it becomes like a low sec kind of area. So there's some big perks to joining the Angels at this point within the patch notes for sure. Um, Also, cool new ships. So we'll see how that goes. Um, and I wonder how much, what the price ISK to LP ratio is going to be for the Garista's got some great ships though. Like those, I do have to say that the Worm, the Gila, these are going to be like hotcakes that are going to be sold all over the place. And I think you're going to see a major uprise of Gillas and Worms that are not going to be able to do a lot in the Navy plexes, but in the pirate area are going to be fucking dominating.
Yeah.
Because we'll get into this later, but I'm pretty sure there's a patch note that talks about the new faction warfare pirate sites that are very similar to what we already have.
Yeah.
But those sites you're going to be able to get in pirate and T2 ships. So I think the reign of the worm is going to come back in these areas for sure.
Yeah, I think there's this anticipation too that, or maybe faction warfare can be alpha friendly and can be newbie friendly, where being pirate and being in the pirate areas fighting, you're going to be in these better ships. I mean, it's going. Like I said, I think that was a problem that they had with faction warfare too. We started letting pirate ships in the worm. I mean, it just became dominant in faction warfare. And I think that's going to be something that happens again here with this new pirate factions.
The thing is though is that it makes more sense because it's the ships they fly, right? So or the
Yeah,
ships they make.
as far as the gameplay and lore, I think it makes a lot more sense this way.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think that it'll be interesting to see because you still will have regular faction warfare. So you can still have areas where you're not going to be able to bring in these extremely powerful ships, but during the actual incursion that they're going to be doing, or their invasion, the corruption that they're going to be doing, this is going to be interesting. So, the other stuff that they talk about, let's see here. So there's some perks that they're going to be getting, right?
Yeah, there's a perk for being a pirate, and why, especially if you're going to be using Zarzak. So Zarzak, the system, you have to pay a fee when you jump into one of the 4 gates that goes into Zarzak, and that fee is based on the ship you're bringing in. Minimum is 10,000 ISK for like a frigate, so it's not astronomical. But I haven't tried to take a battleship through, so I don't quite know how it scales. But yeah, you'd have free entry as long as you're a member of one of the pirate factions. You have access to a jump clone bay inside the shit.
The Zarzak station.
Yeah, Fulcrum. The Fulcrum.
Fulcrum.
Yeah, Fulcrum. I skip my mind. So, yeah. So you'll be able to have a jump clone in there, and you can have offices in there too, as long as your corporation is aligned with one of the pirate factions. The Garistas will have their own docking bay inside the station, as well as the Angels will have their own. And then it's my take that even if you're not in the pirate faction, you can still dock there, but you're going to have limited access to some of the utilities, and you'll have, looks like maybe a third hangar. They didn't really spell that out in this article.
Yeah, it seems like there's going to be a third hangar that's going to be the neutral, hangar. That's probably just not going to be very special at all. So yeah, we'll see. I like the idea of, this is one thing that is really kind of drawing is to go and live out of Zarzak. Would be kind of cool if it's feasible to do that and to put everything into Zarzak. The only thing is you can't put capitals into Zarzak, so it's very much going to be a what kind of restriction. So far, and I've read through the notes. I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong. We're gonna doing a bigger, deeper dive here, but from my understanding is that it doesn't say anything about being kicked out of stations. So if you can still like have all of your shit in Hades, and then be part of the Guristas, um, you can have all of your caps in the war zone like you normally would, as long as you can dock and all of that stuff. Um, and Insani also said that you get a 5.4 bump from a single Angel Epic arc run. That's pretty fucking crazy. Maze, how's it going, Redneck? Hoodlum. Hoodlumaniac. Um, so, we have a possibility here where you can still do all of this stuff and not be kicked out of low-sec stations. But we're gonna see what the penalties are for that, if that's true, or what that's all. But so far in the notes, we haven't come across anything like that. And from what I remember reading through the notes, there is no mention of getting kicked out of stations.
Yeah, and well, later on, in a few minutes here, we'll talk about another thing that kind of popped up in my head when I was reading through this, but we'll get to that in a few minutes when it comes up here.
All right, so let's see here. They get the free entry and access. Enlisted pirates can take part in the insurgency gameplay, sowing chaos and spreading corruption while enriching yourself. So there's going to be this whole new system that they're going to have with corruption. So we'll talk about that actually a little bit more, I believe, later. Thanks in part to the loyalty of the Capsuleers, the Deathless has managed to unlock more of Zarzak's potential. So basically, the Fulcrum is now open to anyone who is not enlisted to the militia. Um, they have a new Deathless hangar environment. Players who are enlisted with the Angel Cartel get access. Okay, so there's a Deathless hangar environment, an Angel Cartel hangar environment, and a Garista's hangar environment. So they do talk about a hangar about that. So players that have an active Deathless Retribution timer are unable to dock regardless of their allegiance. And it sounds like, since I'm going to be staying in faction warfare for the Galente, I am going to be kind of kicked out of Zarzak. Kind of sucks. Want to be able to dock at Zarzak. I don't know. It's really tempting to go to the pirates, because this is some interesting stuff that they've kind of built here. Let's see here. So if you're unaligned, you'll have access to the repair, fitting, market, insurance, and industrial facilities.
Yeah, and I thought this was interesting too, so that you're going to have some purchases. So you'll obviously be able to do manufacturing while you're in the fulcrum, and you will get a 6% material effectiveness bonus and a 70% time efficiency bonus, which I think is pretty huge. You also get a cost break by 90% of the SCC surcharge. So it's kind of like the tax for actually doing business. Typically throughout space, your SCC industry is going to be like 1.5%. So you're going to get 90% off that. So you're going to be paying like, well, 0.15%, to simply just use the facility or actually to build something. So, yeah, but that's going to be savings. If everyone else, if I want to manufacture stuff there, it's going to cost me,
Do you know how much
almost a
that
point and a half.
is how good a decked out player owned station for construction gives for reduction in material cost? I don't know that. But
No, not off the top of my head. I stopped. I used
I
to
don't
use.
think 6% is better, but I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah. And we talked about the Clone Bay, which of course is going to be huge, and then the offices.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I wonder if it's infinite amount of offices, or if there is a restriction on the amount of offices um, that can be had. But I'm guessing infinite. That would be my guess, or near infinite, enough that it's not something that players will end up doing. Um, so I'm
And they
excited.
didn't say what those cost. I'm assuming they're just going to be your standard
Well, I mean, the
100.
more that you have, usually the more that it costs. But it usually means that you have to hit like the barrier, of like you have to fill up, and this can't fill up. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to be playing around with that. I'm gonna make up a corporation right away. Have fun with it. Um, the next thing is the shipcaster. So their shipcaster is kind of interesting because it takes them to the fob, and you can dock with the fob and put shit in it. Now my question is what happens when that fob blows up? Does it get asset safetied, or does it drop?
Yeah, or is it a pinata?
That would
I'm
be cool
hoping
if
for
it's a
pinata.
I'm
That'd be
hoping
my hope.
pinata. I don't remember anything actually talking about that, but we'll see. Um, So now the autopilot won't be blacklisting Zarzak anymore, so you can set your destination to Zarzak if you want. But it will be automatically on the default avoidance list, but not the player custom avoidance list. So, um,
And now, yeah, and then the last one they talk about here is bombs and interdiction bubbles being able to be used in Sarsak. And I know there's been a lot of conversation on this, a lot of the talk shows and stuff, of whether this is a good or bad thing, because unlike other parts of space, you're limited in what parts of Zarzak you can actually go to. You can go to the gates, you can go to the caster, and you can go to the station. As of now, I don't know if there's any place else you can really go to. So if you're going to put up bubbles on each of those, is that going to make this impossible to navigate through? Can
yeah.
you
So you
permanently
don't
camp
get pings. You always will land within 1 to 100 of the gate, no matter if you try and warp on top of somebody. Um, the bubbles and bombs was kind of put in there to state that it would make gate camping, or like a massive amount of control happening from just numbers, made it like so bombs will be able to blow people up. Interdiction bubbles are the advent of needing to hold down the bombs or what you're bombing, right? So because you can't bomb something with like points, right? So you need to
Yeah,
be
makes
able to.
sense.
So it needs to be able to attack the big groups can get still bombed the living fuck out of. However, um, it also sets it up so that without the bombers, now people are going to be able to, if they're spread out enough, the bombs won't matter as much, and they can still, if they have enough numbers spread out around the gate. We'll see. I'm interested to see what because right now nobody is in Zarzak, and nobody's
No, that's not a.
camping either
Yeah.
side.
Well, without the
I've been there
station
to
being open,
multiple
yeah, it's hard to
times.
do. Yeah. Uh,
So,
yeah.
so that's a big question mark. The fob being whether it's a pinata, and just like Trip T said here, if it's a big pinata, it's going to be some big fights that we're going to get, which would be kind of cool. Um, yeah, there's a lot of questions that this creates more than it answers, but we kind of knew a lot of this stuff from the presentations that they did at FanFest. So let's go down and take a look here. So there's going to be this special pirate insurgencies that they're going to be doing. Basically, this can happen in any faction warfare system. However, it is possible for them to spread into additional systems which are 0.0 security and below 0.8 security. So this can spread to adjacent systems and go all the way out. And so if you have a station actually in 0.8, um, you're at risk. It's possible that an insurgency can eventually get to your system, and then it's a low sec system, and people can blow up your stuff. Um, Whether how much that matters at that point,
Well, and something that kind of popped up when I was reading through this or came in my head was Potchfit.
hmm
That 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 0.0 to 0.8 covers a lot of Potchfit. There's only a few systems in there that are in the negative, technically. So, yeah, I wonder how if that's going to become a thing.
yeah, we're seeing more breaking up of the map and manipulation of the map through different. This is much more player, I think, influenced. The other one was technically player influenced, I think, but once one side started rolling, right, it was just that was the decree. But and that I guess the Treglavians were always going to get the number of systems they needed to make their special constellation, right? But this is going to be there's a seed that's planted, and from that seed can grow a bunch of corrupted space. So there are multiple phases, and they're centered around hub systems which have the FOB in it. So there's a bunch of different activities and stuff that you can kind of do. The interesting I think I saw here was FOBs are going to be only happening on temperate planets in the faction warfare zone.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. It was very specific to that. So I don't know what role the temperate planet pays. I guess maybe in a high sec. I know a lot of temperates and barons are used as manufacturing planets for PI and that kind of stuff. So definitely have an impact there.
So it looks like the first insurgency that's going to happen is going to take 48 hours before it actually happens, and there's going to be a warning that tells all players where the pirate fob will be placed. There will be no special content during this phase, and the fob is invulnerable. However, it will be dockable. This gives players from both sides the opportunity to move assets and get ready to deploy in the theater, or players opportunity to get out of harm's way. It gives players the opportunity to get out of harm's way. That makes sense. So after 48 hours, it goes into an active phase where you can do suppression or corruption by completing gameplay content with either the pirate or empire militias. So it doesn't sound like there's a neutral thing that can be done here. You have to join one of the three sides that are going to be in each one of these wars. Let's see here. So after you suppress enough systems, then the fob system will become invulnerable, or vulnerable, and
So very faction warfare like mechanic. If they come in to take the system and they can't, the anti pirates, being the Kaldari and Galente, or Mimitar and Amar, faction warfare, fight them off and prevent them from taking the system. Then there's a 24-hour timer where it's vulnerable. If we blow that up, then the system doesn't flip or doesn't progress.
and it sounds like after a while they will fully corrupt the system and then plunder everything that's going on. That's in this area. I don't know. They haven't elaborated on what plunder everything means, right? So there are some things that it does say specifically that it will do. It will cause havoc with the faction warfare, with several front lines being created around the fob. When pirates win and take temporary control of the faction warfare occupancy of the system, They will eventually give it back when they're ransacked everything. However, it will be given back in a vulnerable state, and the iHub will be vulnerable right away. So, sounds like if you
Uh,
had control, even if it's a backline system, it'll still get smashed, right?
yeah, but this, I think that the fact that all right, so they come in, they plunder, they take everything. The pirates pull out, and they said at that point it becomes vulnerable again. So then I think it's going to be a scrum for whoever factions to get in there and claim that system
Right. So it
over the
puts it
other
up
one.
for
So it's
grabs. Yep.
yeah, so it's gonna put like a massive battlefield. Those are gonna be fights. Those, especially if it's a system that both sides really, really want. You know, if this was like a fleet or something, um, we we're gonna these are gonna be a huge, huge battles. This is gonna be a dread brawl. I mean, this is people are gonna bring out the everything they got to try to take some of these systems. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping to see what like this will definitely heat up the back lines. I think of the war zone. So if the pirates I feel like the pirates are going to be pretty strong, right? They're going to have a pretty big influx immediately of people that are just going to pour into it, and then it'll hit a peak and then kind of come back down after a while. Um, but I'm interested to see who kind of stays around in the Galente and Keldari faction warfare. I think the Keldari are going to still be able to stay pretty strong. I feel like we're going to lose a lot of really good people in the Galente, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's some rumblings going on between a few people. I know I've had an old player come back recently, and flew with him last week, and asked if he was actually coming back, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna go do the pirate thing." So, okay, man. So yeah, I guess that's the big question that is going to have to just kind of answer itself. Is this going to be like an ESS thing where, yeah, it was great content for a while, but after a couple of weeks, now it's just kind of a passing thing. Like you don't have, as far as I know, there's not a lot of active ESS hunters out there. The only time I think we really get involved is when we're on Rome, so just nothing else is happening. We're like, let's send a cruiser and see if we can ring the bell and make something happen. So I don't know if this is going to be kind of the same thing. But taking a quick step back here when it's talking about the forward operating base and the caster, um, we have some say in where our shipcaster goes, and it really hasn't explained much of that here. Whether the pirates
It's
will
I
be able to
think they
say where
only
those
have
locations are going to
one.
be.
I think they only have one forward operating base going at a time.
Yeah, but there's one for each side though. One for the
Yeah,
angels and the one for the Griffiths.
but you
Oh, that's true.
choose. So yeah, basically,
But
there's only
who
one choice
chooses that?
for you.
Yeah, but who chooses that? Is it gonna do the players choose that, or is that preset by
No, you
CCP?
choose by joining a side. So there's one shipcaster. It goes to two locations, but
Yeah, but
you
who
can
chooses that location? Who chooses the forward
the
operating base?
player, because you buy the side that you choose. So if you join the Garistas, you will only go to the Garistas fob. You won't
Yeah, but
be able to go to
but that's
you.
my question. Who put that fob there?
Who gets to place the fob?
Yeah, who says we're
Oh,
yeah, this is where
no,
the corruption's gonna start
I'm
with this
pretty
system.
sure that that is a CCP chosen system.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be. And I wonder if that's random or if they've got like
I
a
think that's
formula.
probably random, but there's probably a formula, but there's also probably somebody who can be like, no, I want it to be here. So who knows? If they plunder, yeah, I wonder if they plunder the NPC stations. Um, will they plunder the passes, the upwell structures? Like, what does plunder everything in the system mean? That's interesting.
It's just a shame
Um,
they can't plunder Cheetah because it's above. It's a .9 system. So that could you imagine? Holy shit! Like that would be a thing.
Yeah. So, all right. So moving on from that, but basically, it's temporary, and they ransack everything, quote unquote. I have no idea what the fuck that means. Um, But let's take a look at some other things here. So players who contribute to corruption of the pirates, for the pirates, and the suspension of the anti-pirates, and suppression for the anti-pirates, will get a large reward of ISK and loyalty points. So I find this is kind of interesting because Galente, Kaldari, Mimitar, Amar, we really get only payouts in LP. Missions suck. They don't give hardly any ISK. And you can get tags, but the tags are not that great. It's like a million, a little bit under like quarter of or 3/4 of a million for one battle cruiser, right? So
Yeah, and I haven't done faction warfare missions in forever. Like, it's been over a year because they sucked. And I don't know if they were ever going to be buffed, if there was any fixing to that, but that's all I hear from people still is like, yeah, they're so not worth it. You're never going to... their whole risk reward thing is really unbalanced there.
Well, I think missions kind of suck anyways. The only thing that it does is really boosts your standings really quickly. So they still have a place if you want to boost your standings quickly and then kill your standings with the Kaldari in order to boost your Galente standings really quickly. That still has a place. But in any case, really we don't have any avenues of good ISK intake. So if this is a large sum of ISK and loyalty points, and it's really a large sum, and you get like a really decent payout from an ISK point of view that can allow you to buy all the stuff in fund the beginning operation of getting. So I'm really excited. It does sound like this is something that only happens at the end of the insurgency when they are on the winning side. So there's going to be smaller LP payouts at the very beginning, right, for doing missions, and I wonder how much ISK you're going to also be able to make doing that. But at the very end, at the very least, you're going to get like this big payout. And I wonder what big payout is. I'm really interested to see what that's like. So we'll have to wait to see. The pirates need to win an insurgency, and we'll find out how big that payout is. So we're going to have to keep an eye out on the news for that.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if it's the same equivalent. Like, if the pirates take the system and the insurgency works, great. And it says if the anti-pirates win, they'll get ISK and loyalty points too. And the bigger bonus goes to the payout. So if they try to take the system and you prevent them from taking the system, you're supposed to get a payout too. And I wonder if those things are balanced, what that looks like.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, I'm interested. So we're going to have to win the first one for the Galente.
Yeah, which is good, because I do like the fact that there is an actual payout to prevent the anti-pirates. I think that is something that made, keep gear. All right, to the top of my head, this is what pops up as the battlefield situation we're in now, because we've had some battlefields pop up recently where there's no point to even try to take them. There's no, you might get some loyalty points for it, but it doesn't impact the war zone like at all. And the amount of LP that you get for taking that battle zone, just again, risk reward, just not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
When I can just stay here and plex or deplex and make more, and have the chance to actually have it an equal fight. So I'm just wondering, with this in place, of if the pirates come in to try to take a system and we stop them, we'll have to see what kind of that payout is and whether it's worth it. So, but
yeah, it's going to be harder for us, right? Because we're going to be so used to using. But this is where we get to bring out the toys, right? So first of all, we don't have easy access to the toys, but we have access to the toys, right? So if we can actually spend the time and effort.
Yeah, I might have to find some of my ships. I have like Dremiels and stuff someplace.
Yeah, I've got some worms and stuff like that too. Like,
I just don't know where they are because
I think that it's going to be fun to open up the toy box and have more stuff to be able to do. And it's in a very specific zone that you go and do this stuff in. So I'm kind of excited to see what it looks like. Um, we're gonna see. I mean, obviously, there's going to be somebody that's going to be. It's not going to be even, right? And I think that there's more possibilities of like meeting up with the Galente and Keldari working together to kill the pirates and the Galente. Whoever's the king of the hill in the three-way battle is going to have to fight two people. That's just going to be kind of, I think, the way that it goes. And
Yeah.
hopefully it's going to be three people that are going to be, one's on top until one gets toppled, and then somebody else takes that top, and then the other two team up together when they were just fighting with each other to beat the shit out of the guy that's winning.
Well,
Um,
I thought that was interesting. We had an opportunity this week. I actually flew with some Keldari pilots. Um, we were just out the other night. We battled back and forth, and then we just got a hold of each other on comms, and we're like, "Hey, there's some pirates in system." We really just kind of teamed up and had fun. Like, so it's one part of the thing I love about Eve is I will shoot you in the face in the game, and then we can have a beer and laugh about it later. And this was strictly, completely that where these are guys I fight with against on a regular basis, and then I just had this opportunity to actually fly with them, and we're both going like trying to shoot down the same guys. So it really kind of gave me hope that if this pirate thing does get too unbalanced, that we can actually have these kind of team ups from time to time with guys that we're normally enemies with. So
Yeah, I think
I think
there's
that'd
a
be
lot
cool.
of possibility there, and I think I that's my prediction. So next week when we come back, we're definitely going to do what happened after the expansion came out, and talk about how completely wrong or right I was. And we'll have 1 week of testing to see this theory a little bit. But my guess is that whoever's whoever brings the bigger fleet is going to have to deal with two smaller fleets, and then that's just going to be kind of the go. And I think that this can just change out from day to day. This is going to be an ever changing kind of thing. But I think once fleet commanders get like associated with each other and understand who each other are, they're going to, and depending on personal hatred and stuff like that can get into the mix in this. um, but if there is no personal animosity that's happening, or diplomatic real animosity, like it's just going to be the two smaller fleets gathering together and shooting the big fleet. But I'm sure I'm going to come back next week and be like, that was completely wrong, that never happened.
Yeah. Well, and we have a predominant FC in the Galente Federation, and even among us, he rubs people the wrong way sometimes, or could be a she. I'm not gonna say. So, um, but it was kind of a point of contention. It was some talking that had come up when we were flying with the like what's with this dude? We're like, yeah, he's got to chill a bit, or she have to chill a bit. Um, but yeah, I'm wondering if if that could be a detriment if you can't put your long-standing grudges aside for a little bit. You're gonna if we're going to third party on somebody. So, like I said, when we have these meetups, but it's curious now. The other thing I haven't really thought about too much on our side is a fleet meta that potentially we're gonna need in Galente to, um, go up against pirate factions because we're not gonna be able to stick with our T1 cruisers
See, my
and
argument
stuff. So,
is I'm fine with people flying shiny, cool ass shit, because I'll just take a bunch of cheap shit and throw it at a bunch of expensive stuff and try and kill one expensive thing before shit goes down.
yeah,
So, but we'll see. Yeah, I really want to do more meta crafting. The sucky thing is that we're kind of locked into a lot of Galente ships as the easiest for us to just mass
hmm
produce, um, and get other people to easily mass produce them on their own and have a reason to use your LP, right? um,
yeah,
and not just to sell it for is. Um, But yeah, so let's go ahead and continue down here. What's the next thing? So next stuff is talking really about the um,
Yeah, so this is kind of like their version of the plexes. So they have their corporate outpost raids, which, as we mentioned, are going to be open to pirate and T2 ships. So, which is funny because I do know that when they made the patch to Faction Warfare last year, that was kind of a complaint a lot of people had. Like, well, what am I supposed to do with all my retries? What am I supposed to do with these ships that I've been using quite often, and now they're getting mothballed. And so I don't know, maybe this is kind of a response to that or a fix to that, but it's curious. Like I said, I have a lot of ships that I like that I would like to fly.
yeah, I mean, all the gameplay in this is going to be accessible to pirate ships and T2 ships.
Hmm.
So it's, I mean, they said, well, we have, advanced plexes, right? But advanced plexes are so few and far between and really well known that you can get pirate shit into it, that it's avoided unless it's like, for sure that you don't care if there's a recon ship in the medium advance because you're just gonna warp in and bring in your fleet to kick them out anyways, right? Or you just brave it because you just don't care if you get caught. Um, but this will be, if you want to do this gameplay, you're gonna have to do T2, where it's optional, definitely in faction warfare. But yeah, it sounds like this is going to be. So I've heard some rumors about this as well. Is that these are going to be very similar to advanced faction warfare plexes, but there might be more rats than just one, and they might scram or web or point. Um,
Yeah, and even this article kind of points to the fact that these rats are going to be a little tougher than what we face in faction warfare now. So, and they may respawn. They may. I think it even says in here there are some respawns in here.
um, Yeah, so it says the site is very similar to the existing FW gameplay capture sites. Players can capture the outpost by remaining in the capture point when the Mordos Legion NPC protecting the site has been destroyed, while anti-pirates can do the same by destroying pirate NPCs. So, and it says the NPCs. So it's possible that there's more than one protector, and I've heard that that they're going to be more dangerous for sure. um, or not for sure, but I think it's a very high possibility. Maybe the rumors are right, but I haven't tested myself. um, Same thing, basically they're faction warfare plexes that are advances. The next one is interesting though, is the mining ambush.
Yeah, yeah. This is an interesting take. I would like to kind of see something like this. Now they do have something similar to this, um, with the last what are they called? God, my
Oh,
brain's
the
not working today.
the new player experience stuff
Yeah,
that's supposed to
yeah,
be
yeah. Where
really
you get
good.
your 5 people together and you go out and you defend. So this is very similar to some of those things that they have.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit. It's got to be a little bit more leveled up. You're going to be doing it in low sec. It probably will have a better payout, but I heard those are really great payouts actually. So if this is a better payout than that, um,
Yeah, if you get 5 people, you get maximum payout. I was doing them. I did some with Rush Lock. I did some with uh, Saber, and we're getting about 15 to 17 million per site. And you can do 3 to 4 an hour, so it can be fun.
yeah, I'm excited for this because this is something that I would like to have us do. Now, it's interesting. If you're the pirate, you get to choose between ransom or blowing it up and getting the loot. If you're anti-pirate, you get basically what would be equivalent probably to the ransom part. But I wonder what these things drop. Um, and I really do think that that'll be.
It's gonna be a haul full of type training. You're gonna have to try to haul out of there.
I mean, that would be. I really want to know what the drop table is going to be like. If it's really specific, or if it turns out to be like wildly different things. Like sometimes it's a bunch of cows, and then the other time it'll be
Yeah,
dropping
frozen
like
food and that kind of stuff.
a
Yeah, or
bunch
are
of
you gonna get
T2
blueprints and stuff?
modules and
Yeah.
faction modules and shit.
Now, I've only
Um,
taken down a handful of rock rolls in my Eve career, and it's not an easy thing to do.
no,
They're a capital ship, right?
yeah, they're a
They're big.
cap. So I think that this sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a very PVE PvP gameplay. It definitely sounds like this is something that you're not going to be doing with your day one old alt. But this is something that after playing for a few months or having cruiser type kind of skill level, T2 items on a pirate or a T2 cruiser, that you'll be able to participate in this level, and it is going to be like you're probably going to want to go out with 5 people doing this because there's such a high potential of PvP that's going to be involved in it, and the cap being at 5 players. Um, 5 to 10 people I could see probably running these sites together to ensure safety type kind of thing. Um, so I think
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. We'll see how easy it is to be dual boxed or to be quad boxed or whatever in order to achieve.
Right, for yourself.
Um, but I don't know. People's complained a lot about that in faction warfare at one point, but I feel like that is not what I see a lot of. I don't see a lot of people. There is not enough 5-man sites to be consistently flying around with a 5-man alt team. But I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, and the payout's just not enough to warrant that in the current warfare.
I don't know. I think we make pretty decent disc, but
I'm complaining. I'm just complaining for the sake of complaining.
Um,
I'm
all
still
right.
sitting on like 2 million loyalty points that I still don't quite know what I'm gonna do yet. So
But yeah, so it sounds like you just kill NPCs until you either free them of the pirate control or you dominated the field, so you can either kill it or, ransom it. This will be interesting. This will be the first time in Eve that there's a forced ransom, but it won't happen for players. It'll only happen for the NPC. Where they really need to have the ability to somehow where there's not an exploit, but like a unintended consequence of an action happening that allows you to actually kill it after ransoming it. That's like the special thing about it is that you actually need to do both because it's Eve. So, and if that's just holding like a point on it or something like that would be kind of funny. Anyways, let's see what else did they talk about here.
yeah, the pirate laundering center encounter
Oh,
in
it's
certain
sorry,
outposts.
it's
This is
10,
pretty
10
cool.
pilots.
Uh,
So it'll be 10 to 20 people, I bet you, that'll run these sites. Probably like or 7, 5 to 20 people, I'd say. Anyways, pirate laundering centers and counter-insurgency outposts.
yeah, this is really cool. So once the system is in its level of corruption, there'll be these laundering centers, and so throughout the system, NPC pirates will fly around, or they're not pirates; they're just NPC ships. And if you kill them, they drop valuable loot. If you're in the pirate faction, you can take it to the pirate laundering, and you get rewards and stuff for that. And if you're in the anti-pirate thing and you shoot these ships and you take their loot, then you just have to take it back to your headquarters. So whatever you would scoop up from Galente, we'd have to take back to Intaki, and we'd get a payday from that. So that actually sounds really interesting to me. I think that could be kind of fun. I mean, it's I wonder if it's just going to be similar to like um, the personal effects that sometimes drop in the DED sites and during events, where if you take them back to a DED or Concord thing, you can send them in for cash.
So I like this. It's there's this special named rats that you need to go out and fight and find in these areas, which are kind of cool. The only thing I don't like is that the turn-in point is only going to be For us, it'll be Intaki, right?
Yeah, how are you gonna
So
do that?
I'm kicked out
You
of
and you and
Intaki.
Glenn, you're almost kicked out of LoSec.
Now, what we could do is every time we wanted to turn in stuff, we would want to do it after we rinse ourselves of our security status negative. Um, and then we would still be able. Then we would be able to do it. Um, we'd still have a ransoms probably, or bounties that could be put on our head, um, and kill rights that could be handed out to kill us. But we would be possibly able, with enough time and preparation. So it basically means that like people like me and Gwen, um, are one going to be hindered in this activity, um, and two makes it feel like you want to be part of the pirate faction if you are a pirate when you're doing this stuff. So
Yeah, because you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to go to your place there and station.
yeah, but we can, I mean, but we do have a way of paying off the cops for a short period of time. I've currently just paid off the cops just recently, and I'm only at negative 3.7 right now. So I'm a good boy right now. I could go to Intaki right now if I wanted.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and you do that, and they give you a crate. So I don't know what that means. I've had ship crates. I've had skin and clothing crates. So could be anything.
Yeah. So all right. So we've got corruption and suppression. So this is basically the gameplay where the more that you do of each of your activities, the more suppressed um, or corrupted the system is. Um, and once it becomes like fully corrupted, like some things start happening. So they have multiple stages that they have for the corruption. So you can click on this to kind of go. So we'll just look at the first one though. Um, so at stage 1 of corruption, we have increased loot drops for pirates, 7.5% bonus. So they get a little bit better on their loot drops. I wonder if that's it's PvP only. Okay, so and then the Federation, Navy, and criminal police NPCs stop spawning in high security systems. So even at stage 1, basically the criminals can start actively being involved in high security systems, but it's not going to start in a high security system usually.
Yeah, and on the suppression side, at stage 1, you'll increase your bounties by 5% from NPCs, and your increased security status gains by a 5% total. So there's a bonus there to anti-pirate too.
So I wonder if this means that if you're on the side of the Galente, if when we kill these ships, the NPC ships, if there's going to be bounties. So, and I wonder if those are going to be good bounties. That would be
Yeah,
kind of cool.
they're saying it is, and
That's kind of cool. I like
stage
that.
2, yeah, and then you go to
Oh, and
stage
then
2.
and I get security status back. So this is where I get to do an activity that gets me because you would do it in 0.0. You'd do ratting and stuff like that in order to get your security status fixed. In low sec, you can kind of do that by doing belt ratting. That kind of sucks. But I wonder if this will give decent security status gains by once you level this up. So looking at corruption level 2 though, we have increased loot by 15%. The NPCs are no longer spawning for criminal police or faction warfare or faction police. And high security systems, and the insurgency systems, roaming pirate spawns will start to appear and warp around the system. These NPCs will engage anyone who is not aligned in the current pirate faction leading the insurgency.
All right, that could be rough. So again,
Yeah,
I don't know how bad the pirates are going to be, but again, if you have, especially if we're talking about scramming and webbing, which is again we're not sure, but it might be something that they do. Yeah, if you go into system to anti-pirate, you could get locked up with NPCs and then have real players take you out.
Yeah,
So,
this reminds me of dealing with fucking Triglavian shit. Like, if there's a
right?
Triglavian gate
Mhm.
camp, and now we're gonna have to worry about these. So once again, another reason. Now, I think that if you're suppressed, if the system is in suppression, so let's take a look at that. Or real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
So
yep. So it's stage
yeah,
2 for suppression.
yeah. So they're doubling now. So your bounties will go up another 10%, or from 5% to 10%. Your security status gains will go from 5 to 10, and then you will start also get a 5% increase on your faction warfare LP gains.
Oh, okay. So not great, but okay. All right, let's take a look at stage 3 for corruption. So that goes up to 22.5% for your bonus to loot drops. Faction NPCs, so that stays the same. And the new thing is if in an insurgency, the system will spread the insurgency to an adjacent system to this system if possible. If not possible, it will instead spread to any system adjacent to the insurgency. So this is going to cause, so every time that you get a system to stage 3, it spreads. So that's kind of interesting. So what happens at stage 3 of suppression?
Bounties increase from 10% to 15%. Security goes to 15%. You get 10% in LP gains. And new, you get corruption gains to this. Yeah, corruption gains for the system are reduced by 30%. Hmm.
Okay, so it makes it harder to corrupt once you've got it to this stage. And then they also get the special thing here where it says the insurgency
Sorry about
systems
that.
roaming enforcer spawns will start to appear and warp around the system. The NPCs will engage anyone who is enlisted with the pirate factions, but will be neutral to other pilots. So it sounds like these guys are not going to attack you if you have a -10 security status, but it will attack you if you are signed up with the pirates, even if you have a 5 positive standing, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Um, and and it sounds like they're just calling these enforcers. They're not going to be making them necessarily part of the Triglavian um, Edencom kind of conflict that's going on. And then they go on to talk about the LP store. Um, so there is some exclusive content that's going to be out there. Um, so am I understanding this correctly? Is that the Garista pirates are going to be getting? Yes. So the kimono, that's going to be the Keldari one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. All the
So
lizard stuff are gonna be. Well, I guess
so
that's not true.
basically, it's their destroyer that they're getting. The Mamba is going to be 12,000 LP, 3.5 million is for the blueprint copy, and then we know that it's basically a minerals for destroyer, but also like an added price increase by like some special modules that you need to get, right? Um, but so this is looking pretty standard. I think 40,000 for the alligator, which is the um, battle cruiser, and then the longer head. Oh, so this is the dreadnought. It's 25 million LP and 25 billion ISK. So the alligator looks pretty good. Like, I don't see this being much more than 40 million ISK, right? Give or
Yeah,
take.
yeah,
Maybe 50 million ISK that you might be able to make, or that you might be able to sell these things for. Or
yeah.
maybe a little bit more because they're. Sorry, it'll be like 90 million. to 100 million or something like that for a battle cruiser, because you have to add on the cost of the battle cruiser minerals that you have to use to build this thing. But this sounds like the battle cruiser is going, or the dreadnought is going to be priced around 50 plus billion ISK, like 50, 60 billion ISK, is what they'll be selling for, would be my guess. But I really do wonder, is Pirate LP going to be 1,000 LP for 1 million ISK, or are they going to be able to break that pretty strongly and be able to be double or triple that? But yeah, so, and then the dreadnought, or the Titan is going to be 150 million LP and 150 billion ISK. So you're looking at probably, a 300 million ISK cost for the Tech 2, or for the Pirate Titans. A little bit more, probably.
Yeah, so it's gonna be
350 million.
It's gonna be a little while before anybody, I think, has that kind of LP that they're gonna be getting the Komodo as the Zerial.
Also, they're stopping trading, right, of LP. So
yeah, it's on hold right now.
That's going to prevent people from getting that 150 million ISK or 150 million LP really quickly. Whereas if you had that turned on, I think that you would see these getting pumped out pretty quickly, actually. Just with corporations banding together to get these if they wanted them. But I mean, they don't have really great places. They're really fucking expensive toys, basically. Like, it's my end goal to have that, but that's like in 50 years from now when I'm like, fuck it, I'll actually get my pirate fucking Titan or whatever. And then there's, the worm, the Gila, the rattlesnake. All of these seem pretty standard. 100 million LP for a rattlesnake, 20 million ISK. Which will be really interesting because that means that that's priced the same as a Megathron.
Yeah.
Worm is the same thing. It's the same as a Comet. So is it going to be harder to get their LP, or is their LP going to be worth twice as much? And easy to get still. Pirate farming for LP seems a bit wrong somehow. Yeah. Alright, so then there's a bunch of other unique items like the gyro stabilizer and the Carista ballistic control unit, as well as some other special things that they, hardwirings and stuff like that. And then they kind of go over the new ship. So I think we'll kind of just quickly go over these. So the first ship is the Kubel. And that's got a 7.5% bonus to small tracking turret speed. So it's going to be good at tracking. It's going to get a 10% fall off. It's going to be a really nice long range, or even, put auto cannons on this thing and it'll still reach out pretty far with the fall off bonus that it's getting here. And then it gets 100% bonus to small projectile turret damage, 25% bonus to warp speed and warp acceleration. The fittings 634, so that's interesting. It's got 4 turrets, 1 launcher. Interesting. Okay, so that's why it's got its double damage bonus, but it looks like standard stats. The Mamba is going to be 4% shield resistance bonuses, plus 10% bonus to kinetic and thermal shield damage, and a 300% bonus to light combat drone and missiles. light combat drone damage and hit points. So that's pretty fucking cool. So it's going to
Yeah,
be a
it's
big
yeah,
brother worm.
yeah, it's definitely a drone boat that you're gonna have to have some issues with here.
And then
Seven,
the oh, go ahead.
I was just saying we got 7 highs, 4 mids, 2 lows, 6 launchers, no
Okay,
turrets. So
this will fuck you up, man.
yeah,
Um, what's it got for drone base? So it's got a 50%, 50. Oh, it's so it only
it's really
has
small.
two
Yeah,
drones that it can pop out, but it has a 50. So you can just keep on popping them out. So you get 5 sets of drones to play with this thing. So that'll be cool.
yeah, you get some augmented drones in there with that bonus, and it's gonna be rough.
And standard stats. And so looking at the Angel, so this is going to be the cruiser or battle cruiser, right? So this battle cruiser is called the Kizaril.
Uh-huh. We'll go with Kizaril.
Kizaril. That's fine. That's fine. So it'll have a 10% bonus to medium projectile fall off. So this is going to be another long range one. I really like that. That's kind of cool. So the I think that this will make it so like the 425 millimeter auto cannons will be able to do around like 40 with barrage for their fall off, which just makes them like really great, close range, fucking, medium range, close range boats. Um, and then 5% damage per level of Mimitar. And it looks like they get a rate of fire bonus, a warp speed, and warp acceleration. This is also kind of cool, the warp speed and warp acceleration, because with all the changes that they've made to that kind of stuff over the years, it really comes in handy to be able to warp fast and have very enhanced acceleration when it comes to warp speed to get ahead of people to catch them. They get another projectile optimal and fall off, 25% roll bonus. I really want these ships. Like, yeah, all of these ships are going to be really awesome. And then, of course, they get the command burst module and 50% bonus to command burst area effect range. So let's go take a look at the alligator. So this thing is fucking nasty as shit. 4.0% bonus to all shield resistances. 10% bonus to kinetic and thermal heavy missile and heavy assault missile damage. So it's just going to be an insanely powerful fucking Drake. It gets a 500% bonus to medium combat drone damage, 250% bonus to medium combat drone hit points, and 12.5% bonus to drone micro warp velocity. Okay, so this thing is going to be a gigantic Gila with some big giant missiles that you can put on it. Command burst, yeah. So this is gonna be a tough fucking crazy ship.
Yeah,
People are gonna love this.
yeah, but only 20 megabytes of bandwidth, so you're gonna have 2 medium drones.
Still, it's like having 4
Yeah,
medium drones. Or
yeah,
wait, no, it's
heavy
like
drones technically that just go really fast.
it's really crazy. Like, yeah, that's because it's 500 per, so that's like having 10 when normally, if you were putting it out. But the hit points are all in one, so they don't go down one by one. They all stack up. Anyways, so that's going to be really good. It's got 7 high slots, 6 launchers, so that's going to be pretty fucking solid. 6 medium, 4 lows. That's going to be pretty solid. And it gets 5 sets for its drone capacity, so that's cool.
Sorry about that. I'm having trouble with the mouse. If I don't click over, it'll go back a screen. So
All right. So the next thing that we have here is the Titan for the fucking Angel Cartel. So this gets a 6+ bonus to Warp Core Strength for Galente. It gets the same bonus as well for Mimitar. So this thing has a 60 Warp Core Strength when you fully kitted it out. Or, yeah. Yeah, so 60 Warp Core Strength. Um, has a 10% bonus to projectile fall off, as well as a 5% tracking speed, 200% damage bonus, and 5% capital projectile turret rate of fire. But the big thing about this is that it's going to be getting the 25% bonus to warp speed and warp acceleration. So this is going to be the one that you kind of hit and run with as best as possible. So yeah, pretty much standard Titan. Does look really fucking awesome. Looks like a giant fucking crab or a claw. Um, so I kind of want that someday. Um, and then they talk about that there's like a big overhaul on the amount of items that you needed in order to build these, that it's the cost is going to be all inside of the blueprint. So for people who already own these blueprints, they're going to be the blueprint is going to go way up in price, comparatively to what they currently are. So whoever's holding on to those are going to do really well. But yeah, so I think we can skip over that though. Edencom. So there's some new changes to Edencom skill books for Edencom ships, and the Portalon projectiles will now be available in the Concord and DED stations instead of exclusively purchased from the character sheet. There's some booster fixes that they have.
Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day of what if you can get any bonuses and stuff for the Vorten projectiles and stuff. Like what implants and stuff can you use? So
Yeah,
spread
so now the wolf rays will affect them, black holes will affect them. Um,
I do
so
like that the skill books are available for them now, but you still have to get go to a player to get the for the Vorten weapon, and they're expensive.
yeah,
They're still really expensive on the market. So
they do have faction and officer variations that they're going to be putting out. So that'll be a little bit more, still more super expensive, but now you can get them from NPCs. Um,
yeah, I have one of these somewhere. I've flown it once, and I think now it's still. I think it's in Jita, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with it or when I'll get to it.
so it sounds like they're going to be trying to push these Edencon ships as being something that you want to use during the piracy and pirate insurgencies. Maybe not necessarily, but you get this is counterinsurgency is where you get the stuff in order to make um, these advanced faction or officer variants. And then the Empire shipcasters have been increased a little bit, 50% resistances now on their shields, so it effectively gives them twice as many shield hit points. They doubled the amount of time it takes for regen due to the balancing of that. They reduced the cost of the shipcaster beacon by about 50%. Like, halved the amount of stuff that it needs, if not even more, for some items here. So when you drop at a beacon, it'll be a much wider area of space that you're going to be dropping into, so it'll be harder to camp, I guess, is kind of the thing they're going for.
Yeah, they're trying to make them a little more user friendly, so which is good.
The shipcaster will also be protected by NPCs that are very similar to FW NPCs and will attack anyone who is not aligned with the faction which owns the shipcaster. So it sounds like there's going to be some NPC defense that's going to be happening. So some new ships get the Alliance and Corporation emblems. I think we just skip over that. Homefront. So this is what you were talking about, the Homefront sites.
Yeah, earlier. Yep.
There's also going to be corporation, and so this is one thing I'm really interested in is these corporation projects that you can put out there. So I really want to play around with this and make sure that our corporation has different projects that people can work on in order to get paid, and how diverse this really is. But it sounds like you can get a lot of cool stuff like create. Project creators sets the ISK that will be paid per contribution per unit of progress. The project creators need access to one of the corporation wallets to have the wallet set as active. Total amount is taken from the active wallet and moved to escrow. Contributors earn ISK entitlements with each contribution, which reduces the amount of ISK in escrow. Contributors can claim their project reward anytime to get their funds in the wallet. Project manager or corporate managers have the overview of the total money in escrow. Corporate managers can see the list of contributors with their respective contributions and earnings. Contributors can see how much money they are earning from a project. Contributors can see how much money they are earning from the project and from all projects. On project cancellation, ISK and escrow will be returned to the master wallet. So it sounds like you can cancel it after you get it going. But I'm really excited for this. This is cool. People are going to be able to be paid out for doing activities in EVE for your corporation.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those user-friendly quality of life things that I think we've needed for quite some time. I've talked with Alexei Vicard, who runs Noir, and with his contracts and his mercenaries. And it's very hard if you got 30 guys or 50 guys on a contract to pay them out individually. The headache that's associated with that is just a lot for him. That's why he's kind of narrowed it down. So this will free up a lot of kind of that time and make it easier. I think it also might make it a little more balanced too. So
yeah, this will be really nice for a couple of different things. I mean, of course, there's the scan signatures, so that's awesome for like wormhole people. You can restrict it to just wormholes, to just gas, but you can also be like, hey, I want my people to do exploration. That's cool. I think that this is a nice incentive bonus. Why do you join a corporation? Because I want to do the activities that they are doing in their corporate goals here. These special, projects that you can, I want to join a corporation that is doing the projects that I want to do. That will, I think, will help out people. I don't know. This could revolutionize being a corporation. Small corps can be really good. Big corps can be okay because if you have more competition, right, in the big corps that are going to be, if they've got 20,000 people that are, doing their projects, those projects are going to end really quickly. Maybe they'll be able to fund them quick enough, though. But you are also, what does it mean to be able to get something from a corporation for their big project? How much of a payout are you getting compared to working for a small corporation? That might not overall have more money, but might be able to pay out more money to its members for the projects that they want them to do. I don't know. We'll see. I'm wondering how well gigantic groups are going to be able to utilize this and how well small groups are going to be able to utilize it. And I'm hoping as a small group to be able to utilize this really well, and to put some major effort into creating some really cool projects. So let's take a look here, though. They've got remote repair. So your lodges will now get LP or get ISK for doing remote repair, and you can track who's doing remote repair now. That's fucking awesome. I think that that's super cool. You can have it be based on, capsuleer and organization, ship type that needs to be used for its system and solar system. So I think that it allows you to get really granular with it, which is kind of cool. I like that. ISK reward per hit point repaired. Very gameable, though. Alright, I'm just going to have my buddy sit outside of the station, or even at a safe spot or whatever, and just shoot at me, and I'm going to, shoot at Bob. I'm going to heal Bob. And then I'm going to get this payout.
Yeah.
I could see. I immediately see
Right.
the ability to manipulate this. But there will probably be penalties for if we find out you manipulated this. Then, you're fucked. Let's see. What are some of the other things? So capture and defense FW sites. So the one question is for me is, when is the Alliance going to get this level of stuff? Because I would really like to see that for Noir. So this would allow us to do faction warfare contracts and have a much better way of paying out to people that are doing the faction warfare contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So and maybe there's a way that we can work it out. So, but it's cool that it's at a corporate level, because I will pay my people to do some basic FW sites, and it'd probably be like 50% of what you're paying in taxes. So you get a 50% tax relief that goes straight to ISK, LP to ISK for you, which would be kind of cool. But yeah, you can restrict it to a specific solar system, to a type of site that you want to restrict it to, faction to capture or defend which faction you want this to be for, ISK reward per participation in capturing or defending complexes. So you could even be a neutral corporation to kind of set these things up and be like, I want you to, I have one for each 4 of the empires. I don't care who you fight for. I want you to go out and do this, FW, even though that we're a neutral corporation or alliance or whatever. So that's kind of cool. So I heavily want to use this, and I would see like Noir being able to do some really cool stuff with the network, if it ever comes out to that, or maybe a distribution of fund that goes into the creation of these projects. So I'm excited to see what the next mercenary contract happens and looks like in our faction warfare area. Alright, so the other thing is destroy capsuleer ships, where you can specify a specific capsuleer or organization, a specific ship type, a specific solar system, and how much ISK per mail received. Once again, very gameable. But it's something that I still want. I think I would use for sure.
Yeah.
And you could tell when things are being gamed.
Yeah, I think this could kind of be like that bounty system, where you're like, hey, I want 3 brand targeted all the time. If he's ever in Flet, you gotta shoot him.
Yes. Yep.
And so yeah, you just have this kind of open bounty on that.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And then there's also manufacturing, so building stuff, which is another thing that I would like to set some, hey, when you pump out your first 25 ENIs, you get like, a 5 million or 10 million is, bonus for doing that. And now here's some more money to go out and do more things. Just different activities that you can do. So that, I think that's kind of cool. Then there's the Air NPE experience, new player experience, that's going to be taking place here. So there's some updates that are going to happen here. And It's going to have a more in-depth highlight personal goal settings and rewards. New capsuleers will learn to use the Air Opportunities interface to discover and track content. Players can now pause the adventure at any time they want, give the greater freedom. So there's some changes to the NPE missions that you're going to be doing. Object tracking has been upgraded without much throughout much of the adventure. All right. Improved guidance for those who stray from the path to help bring them back into the adventure. So this is like the special adventure that they're going to kind of go on. They're going to have new air opportunities. They're going to incorporate faction warfare sites into the air opportunities, epic arcs, escalations, ice belts, or anomalies, introductions, the air NPE, and the new Eden store tutorial. Oh, great. So this is where they'll get 2,750 career points in the air career program. Great. Let's see here. Just some more stuff on like enhancements to the air opportunities panel and stuff like that. There's some photon improvements where you're going to be able to color your customize your UI with different colors and stuff like that if you're Omega.
That seems pretty neat. Just so you don't have either black or see-through black, you can.
Right. Yeah, if you want to personalize it, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. The settings menu has gained much more real estate inside of the new expansion. It is now full screen and will look more modern. And that's it. So
I like the little creature comforts. I like the things they do to try to make my, gameplay just more enjoyable for me personally. The interaction with the overview and stuff. So I appreciate that work.
yeah, I'm excited to see all the little improvements on top of the big improvements. Like this all looks really good. I got a lot of questions that's still going into this, like what's really going to be going on here. But I think I've got a good idea based on what's been displayed there. It doesn't give you the nitty-gritty details that we would like, but that will be our next show next weekend. That I will go into the details of what does all of this actually mean in real life.
So you don't think the topic's going to be how the pirate expansion ruined the game?
Probably not. Probably not. Maybe, we'll see.
Nope, this is it. This is the end of Eve. I can't believe they're doing this.
It might be the end of the Galente. Like, we'll see. Like,
good. Yeah.
Could be our Achilles heel. They gave a more bloodthirsty group than the Galente, and so I'm interested to see how that goes. Yeah, thanks for coming on tonight, Night Flyer, and going through all of this with me. Any final thoughts you have on the expansion here?
I think most players, we're kind of excited for the change. We've had pirates in faction warfare for a long time, so now at least they can earn a little something for it if they want to.
It's a little special activity, definitely.
Right. Yeah, and that's just it. I think everybody plays this games looking for content. They want something to do. And so I think as long as CCP keeps kind of developing this with Eve, keeps opening these little pockets for people to, take part in, people are just going to keep playing. I know I'm staying. So.
Yeah, Trip T says we Gal Mill may lose system control, but we will never go away. No, and I agree. I mean, like, I'm sticking with the Galente. I'm looking to build up strong during this time period to fight the pirate insurgency. we are pirates, so it's a little weird. You would think that we would go over, but we have a contract with Gal Mill. We are their pirate radio station. So, and I want to kind of make sure that other people know this too, is that we are open for contract. Um, we will report on any war that you want, and we can work on any specific activity or defense that needs to happen. Of course. The network usually handles most of those, but we'll also talk to you about doing reports on weird wars. We can be the news for hire as well. We're not just mercenaries that'll go shoot people. We'll also report on the news that you want us to report on, and with the unbiased slant that we, of course, would always put on all of our propaganda. Shows. So.
Just because Caldari is trying to destroy the game, we're not going to, slant our reports.
Yeah, no,
we're gonna completely stay fair and unbiased.
absolutely, yeah, and we'll do that for you as well, but yeah, thank you all for coming on, and watching. Thank you all for listening, and yeah, it's great to see that some people are going to be. Oh, did you see a certain power that recently joined Galmill? I did not. Who is that? A power. We have a magic power that has been Horde. Really? I thought Horde was going to be in Keldari. So is it because of? Damn it! I don't want to fight goons, but I'm fighting goons, and now I've got to fight with Horde. That's kind of crazy. Oh, awesome! Thank you so much, Nightflyer, for the gift there. That's fucking awesome, dude.
I meant to do that a little bit ago. It's been sitting there for like 20 minutes. Yeah, my remote my mouse is I think down to 7%. So I keep trying to throw it on the charger, get a little more juice into it.
I went to Valor and saw -10 and had headset, saw that the pandemic horde was joined. Oh, damn, man. Well, are you sure that it's all of the horde are joining, or a horde member joined Galente? So that's big. The whole alliance has joined Pandemic Horde. The entire alliance of Pandemic Horde. Breaking news: Pandemic Horde as an alliance supposedly has joined. We have not been able to verify this in game. But that is something that I'll do when I come back here. I'm going to take a short little break here. And then we'll be right back. I'm going to do a little bit more digging into this alliance. The pandemic horde might not be the entire alliance. I would guess just some enlistments that's happening. But yeah, thank you all for watching. We're going to be doing Madtown, which is in Madison, Wisconsin, middle of the United States. We're going to be running that at the IO Arcade Bar. We're really super excited about doing that. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. And yeah, that was great. Thank you. Have a great night.